How are you doing this fine day? Hope you're enjoying your week. Welcome to another survival challenge, in particular, a Helldiver survival challenge. And today's video is simple. You know, Super Earth, the location Super Earth exists within Helldivers. Super Earth's a planet. It's like that. We're gonna see what happens if you take these 4 terrible situations that happen to other poor planets that totally didn't deserve it, and then throw it to a planet that totally does deserve it, like Super Earth, and see what might happen. How would they deal with having these fucking monstrosities in their world, on their planet, fucking up their shit, you know? How it's about time, because they always fucking up other people's shit. Now it's their turn. The Illuminates screwed it up, so, you know, let's give these guys a chance. I think that makes sense. That follows. Now, since it's been more than 5 minutes since I made my last Helldivers video, obviously, that means I have to update you on all the new power-ups and shit the Helldivers got. It's one of the reasons why I like doing the Helldivers videos, because they constantly get new shit added every few weeks. That just makes me have to stay on my toes when I use them in a survival challenge. I can literally go back and revisit old survival challenges where the Helldivers lost and put them through the same situation again, and you might have a totally different outcome, because in the months or so gap since I did that, when they got a bunch of new shit that now changes the situation. Helldivers as a game is a constantly evolving universe that just keeps getting new technology, and it's interesting. I like it. It's interesting. So what's the new technology they got this time? It's not really going to be relevant to the video for the most part, but you know, I might as well say it. Basically, it has been confirmed that the gloom that is spreading in the Terminid systems does actually eat through ships. So all the people who are saying you're wrong, you're making an assumption, it doesn't eat through ships, it does blah 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 blah. No, it was very obvious it was eating through ships. Now we have confirmation that it was eating through ships, but it was always clear as day that it was eating through. I mean, what else was it doing? Ships were flying into the gloom, getting destroyed, not coming out, and all communication was being blocked off. It wasn't a fucking EMP shutting down the power of the ships, because the ships are immune to EMPs. We already know that. And it wasn't just communications being locked off, because that didn't explain why they couldn't fly back. If you're saying that Terminids were killing them every time they flew in there, how? The ships can literally bend space to teleport wherever they want all over the fucking map. So how is it possible with the dozen of ships that were sent in, not a single one could make it out before being destroyed? Come on now. It was obvious that the gloom was actually destroying the ships. And now it's been confirmed, yes, it was destroying the ships. We then had to go through these missions where we collect samples of the gloom, which required us to make new technology to allow us to actually capture it, because it destroyed basically every capture method that we have. And now we have studied the gloom, and Super Earth scientists are working on a polymer-based kind of bullshit new technology thing to coat our ships in, so that we can fly through the gloom without just getting completely destroyed. And that's it. That's really the only new technology since the last time I talked about it. I don't think it's really going to come up for any of these scenarios, but you know, it's cool. It's like another thing. But not wasting up your time. Let's get started. First up on the chopping block, we have the ZEDs from Killing Floor. Now, originally I wanted to cover Killing Floor on this channel as a celebration of Killing Floor 3 coming out. But given that that game is a steaming pile of shit that fell out of the cancer-infested asshole of a meth addict, I guess we'll just have to make this like a celebration of what used to be. You know, when playing this game wasn't the equivalent of dragging my naked nutsack across a football field of broken glass. And look, this isn't a review of Killing Floor 3 or anything, so I'm not gonna like explain all of this. But if you're curious as to why I don't like it, just take every single bad thing you can possibly think that a modern game can do, and Killing Floor 3 does it. It's completely barren of content. It is extremely predatory in a microtransaction kind of way. It's poorly optimized, filled with all sorts of bugs. It has been mechanically completely stripped barren, and overall, the soul of the franchise is just nowhere to be seen in this game. It is truly, truly atrocious. The only good thing it did was improve on the perk system, and that's about it. The game has 6 playable characters, 8 maps, 13 enemy types, 3 bosses, and one game mode. And despite that, it has the gall to try and charge me $40 for the fucking game, which is the exact same as Helldivers on release, $20 more than Killing Floor 2, and $40 more than Warframe, despite the fact that all 3 of those games had more shit on release than this one does. The game is so unbelievably barren of content that I could have not looked into it, not played it, not touched it at all, and made this video with only knowledge of the story and lore of Killing Floor 1 and 2, and you wouldn't have fucking noticed that I didn't play 3, because it didn't fucking add anything. It's literally a bunch of shit that already existed in the previous games, just less and shittier. Literally the only thing you need to know about Killing Floor 3 that adds to the greater lore of the Killing Floor universe is that 4 years have passed between Killing Floor 2 and 3, and whereas Killing Floor 2, the ZEDs were across all of Europe, now they have made it across Euro-Asia as well. That's it. Outside of that, if you need to know more about Killing Floor, I covered it in a video video that I made quite some time ago, possibly even a year at this point. It was a Killing Floor survival challenge, and everything I said in that video is still relevant today. No new information is needed at all. So how would Super Earth do if the threat of the Zeds came to Super Earth? It's always weird when you have to repeat the same thing twice in the same sentence. Makes me feel like I fucked the sentence up or something. Well, I actually think they're going to do a lot better than people would think they are. Because, like, you think just if you don't play the game and stuff, you think it's just kind of a zombie virus or like a cybernetic zombie virus thing. No, it's a little more than that. It's weirder than that, I guess. It's actually an army of bioengineered and cybernetically enhanced clones that were created by a mad scientist who cloned a bunch of members of his family because, like, he's psychotic and he wants his DNA to be everywhere. It's a whole thing. I'm not going to go into it. It's actually in no way an army of the undead or an infection where they spread it to other people. So calling them zombies is super inaccurate. The reason why there's constantly more Zeds being made and why they can't wipe them out permanently is because the Patriarch built a shit ton of underground laboratories that just constantly mass produce these fuckers with no end in sight, so they just make millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of them. If you're wondering why in the series when the spread first started, why they didn't just nuke the whole area and be done with it, well, they did. There's a whole level you could play in that was a nuked area where the Zeds first got released. Since one, it didn't destroy any of the underground laboratories that are made in bunkers that can resist nuclear explosions, but also the actual radiation that's left over after the nuke goes on doesn't affect the Zeds one way or another. So basically, nuking the whole fucking planet is not something that would work to get rid of the Zeds. You also have the fact that Zeds themselves are a lot more durable than most enemies in Helldivers. Characters like the Scrakes, Flesh Pounds, Patriarch himself, and the other bosses can straight up take shit dozens upon dozens of rockets to the face, laser weapons, cryo weapons, plasma rounds, grenades, all kinds of bladed melee weapons, superheated weapons, nuclear-based weapons, and basically every other thing you could possibly think of. And that's another thing. While the Helldivers are way more advanced than the Killing Floor universe, like they have space travel and they can blow up moons and shit, Killing Floor doesn't have anything close to this. Their actual guns are a lot more impressive and varied than what Helldivers have. Like, they have a fucking shrink ray in this game. Yeah, there's a gun where you shoot a dude, he shrinks. When he gets too small, he fucking blows up. Or you can, like, go step on him or, like, cut him or whatever. It's a fucking shrink ray. That's the level of technological advancement that the weapons in Killing Floor have. And these weapons don't really do a whole lot to the Zeds. There's a really solid chance in this game that you send down a bunch of Helldivers to go fight the Patriarch and give them all their best weapons, from a quasar cannon to a laser cannon to an auto cannon. There's a lot of cannons in this game. To the spear, whatever. And none of those weapons are really gonna do a lot of damage because there's shit that's just as powerful in Killing Floor, and that doesn't do a whole lot of damage. The bosses of Killing Floor are arguably more durable than the fucking factory striders are in Helldivers. And the fact the bosses in this game, like the Patriarch and the Matriarch and the King Flesh Pound and that fucking German dude whose name I'm forgetting with the force field and the poison weapons, can all be cloned infinitely, because this is the thing. Like, in lore, the Patriarch, who's one person, is killed several times and keeps coming back because he's cloned himself an unknown number of times, and it doesn't matter how many times you kill him. The only way to actually overcome the Zeds is to find these bases that are underground and destroy them so you can stop the production of Zeds. So, can Super Earth do this? Yeah, they can. It's gonna be difficult. I'm not saying it's gonna be easy, but the truth of the matter is that the Zeds spread super fucking slow. Like, in the Helldivers universe, you have shit like the Terminids that literally spread across 1/3 of the galaxy in a couple of weeks. Whereas in the Killing Floor universe, it took the Zeds 14 years just to go from invading Britain to invading Eurasia. They just made it into America at the beginning of Killing Floor 3, 14 years after the initial outbreak. While they're incredibly strong and durable and would be able to take a lot of hits from the Helldivers, Super Earth as a whole has so many people. Bare minimum, they're in the hundreds of millions to trillions. There are so fucking many, and they're not gonna run out anytime soon. These are numbers that don't exist in Nightfall, which is the organization that counters the Zeds. They just don't have the same numbers that Super Earth does, which means they won't be able to spread nearly as fast as they did in the Killing Floor universe, which again isn't really that fast at all, because the enemy they're fighting against is fighting with larger numbers and arguably similarly powerful weapons. That's completely ignoring Super Earth's scanning technology, which, no, I don't think it'll be able to necessarily find the underground bases. I don't think we've ever seen them use the scanning technology to actually, like, scan the inside of planets to find shit underground. But I mean, they do mine shit on other planets, and they have to go and find where those mining spots are. They're also shown scanning whole areas on the tops of planets, like several miles across a vast area on a planet. So I really don't think it would take all that long for them to park a couple of ships ships up in space and just act as satellites scanning the planet and waiting for like where all the fucking ZEDs pop out at, and then be like, okay, there's a base right there. Let's send some dudes down, blow that shit up, and just do that a couple of times, or however many of these bases he has, even if it's fucking 40. You know, they have more than fucking 14 years to do it. They'll eventually get them all, and then you just have to wipe out the rest of life, which they can do on the surface very easily because they have tons of weapons that can wipe out life on the surface, including gas weapons that won't destroy the fucking planet. So it's certainly going to be an irritation and a challenge, but it's not going to be this unstoppable thing that they can't get over. It's just, they'll be fine. If you're enjoying the video, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, and join the membership. Remember, join the membership, you get exclusive access to videos that no one else could get. And don't forget to check down below at the pinned comment where there will be a link to the Discord, as well as my second channel where I put any videos that I make that are not survival challenge, from game talks and movie reviews and just whatever fucking bullshit I feel like talking about. I go on tangents here. If you want to go over there and not see tangents where I'm actually supposed to talk about that stuff, you know, there you go. Are you tired of this ad? So am I. Let's get back to the video. Next up, we have Pilgar from Goat Simulator. And if you're watching this and you play Goat Simulator or not, you're probably thinking like, well, this is stupid because Goat Simulator doesn't have a story. It's just you play as a goat and you just fuck around and that's it. And while I would agree that Goat Simulator doesn't have a story, it does have lore. These two things are not the same from software players. Lore is not a replacement for story, no matter how much you want it to be. But Goat Simulator does actually have lore. Pilgar was a human at one point. I think it was a chick, but it might have been a dude. I don't remember. Anyway, she died, and then when she died, she didn't go to heaven or hell, but she got stuck in limbo in the form of a goat. The whole game of you going around fucking around is you trying to figure out a way to escape limbo and go to the next life, or just go somewhere that isn't this fucking shitty place where nothing ever changes and you're a fucking goat and no one really reacts to you, and it's fucking Goat Simulator. Do you want to be trapped in Goat Simulator forever? No, yeah, that would fucking suck. So that's the plot of the game. You're some chick that died, turned into a goat, and is now trying to figure out a way out. And I'm just gonna bury the lead here. Pilgar is absolutely 100% unkillable. This is shown in the game as well as said by the developers. She's already dead. You can't kill her. At one point in the game, you can activate a satellite to blow up the planet you're on to try and kill yourself, and the whole planet fucking explodes and you're just floating in space still alive. Pilgar cannot die. Super Earth does not have the means to kill her. She also has a large variety of powers, of which I'm not going to go over all of, but again, if you play the game, there's a lot. There are many different forms you can take, and all the different forms you take have massively different powers. You can turn into a devil goat and you have telekinesis. There's a fucking goat that shoots fire, and you can turn to a whale, you're in a penguin, in a lawn chair, so you're like a shapeshifter that can become all different kind of forms. You can run up the side of buildings, you can fly. You have super speed, you can touch people and on contact, make them explode. You have many, many, many different powers. Just sending Helldivers down to the planet to have to try to kill Pilgar in the normal way that they would is not going to work in this case. No amount of firearms or napalm or nuclear warheads being launched down at Pilgar are going to do anything. It's not a living being. It's essentially an otherworldly cosmic horror that's in the shape of a fucking goat. So you'd think based on all that, it should be pretty high because they can't deal with the problem. No, they can deal with the problem because all they have to do is get it off the fucking planet. And while Pilgar is incredibly powerful, has all kinds of crazy shit she can do, and never dies, I mean, that doesn't mean she can't be captured and like launched off the fucking planet. She didn't blow up the planet with her own physical might. She blew up the planet with a fucking space laser. She's not shown toppling buildings over or destroying fucking islands. She's not that strong herself. She's just basically unkillable and has a large variety of powers. If they can catch her in like a particularly strong cage or something, and then just maybe study her after that, or just launch her off the planet somewhere, throw her into a black hole, she'll be gone and out of their hair. They might not be able to kill her, but they can deal with her, which is why she's so low on the list. Like, if this was a fucking Pilgar versus, you know, Super Earth, where like they had to actually kill her, or like versus, you know, a certain number of Helldivers who would win, Pilgar wins, because like she literally can't die. And she's strong enough to wipe out literally any Helldiver they send down to the planet. But as a coordinated effort of all of Super Earth's military to capture and deal with her being set loose on Super Earth, yeah, no, that I think is totally possible. There's a nearly uncountable number of ways that this could be done. Honestly, I think it would be funny if they just took Pilgar and like launched her on a fucking automaton planet. It was like, you guys deal with this shit. And then she'll just be going around causing all kinds of chaos for them. They're like, what the fuck is this? It's a fucking goat. It'd be very, very funny. But yeah, honestly, the smartest thing to do is probably just take this bitch and chuck her in a black hole and be done with it. Next up, we have the entire plot of War of the Monsters. Like just everything. Everything that happened in that game is now going to happen on Super Earth. In case you haven't played War of the Monsters, fucking shame on you. But basically, before the start of the game, Earth was invaded by a bunch of aliens. Earth dealt with the aliens by building a bunch of these giant EMPs that blasted their fucking ships out of the sky, and their ships crash landed on Earth. Inside those ships was a bunch of green fluid that was like the fuel for their ships, and this green fluid leaked out of their ships and then just started breaking fucking reality, basically. Like, some of this green stuff got on animals, like a praying mantis or a gorilla, and it just made them giant, like 35, 40 feet tall giants. But when some of it fell inside a volcano, it brought the fucking magma to life and gave it sentience. When some of it got onto a broken down robot, it fixed the robot up to working form and then also gave that sentience. It fell on some dude who was in a power plant, so it fused him with the electricity in the power plant and created like this living lightning kaiju. So like you have this one substance, this green goopy shit that doesn't have a name, that can make shit large, give it intelligence, give it sentience, bring things to life that are just like inanimate objects, and fuse beings with other materials. It just does whatever the fuck it wants to do for the story to make cool kaiju concepts, basically. But yeah, after that happened, the entire planet was covered in a bunch of fucking kaijus, and all the kaijus started fighting each other, ergo, War of the Monsters, and the whole game is just all of them fighting for supremacy over the planet Earth, and that's the game. So what would happen if that same exact shit happened to Helldivers? Well, again, to avoid bearing the lead, most of the kaiju Super Earth will be able to deal with. The most powerful thing that any of the kaiju have to deal with in the game is that this giant nuclear reactor explodes on an island, completely fucking destroying the entire island. Given that Super Earth has ships that can blow up moons, they're more impressive and have way more firepower, so they should be able to wipe out basically any of the monsters, kind of. Any of the physical, like most of the monsters. Because like, how are you gonna wipe out a monster that's made out of electricity or like liquid magma? Like, what are you supposed to do there? Is a fucking massive moon-sized explosion going to kill liquid magma? Can anything kill liquid magma without straight up destroying the matter itself? There's no like pieces of it, you know? It's not like you can destroy its vital organs or its brain. It's just consciousness put into fucking magma. How do you even deal with that? And I know that some people are gonna argue that in the game, if you play as characters like Magmo or Kineticlops, you can be hurt by like helicopters shooting machine guns at you and rockets, and the other kaiju can punch you, and that does damage. I understand that because it's a game, and in a game you have to be able to lose, and it wouldn't be fair otherwise. But within the actual, like what we see in the game, Magmo turns into a puddle willingly. He's capable of taking the magma inside his body and blasting it out at other people, and still like not running out of magma, just regrowing and making more magma to rebuild his body back up. Agamo is a giant stone monster who literally can rip his head off and chuck it at people, and then he grows a new head. He's made out of stone. How does he grow fucking stone out of nothing? The dude can literally create matter. We see Kineticlops throughout the game be electricity. Even his eyeball is like can form into electricity and travel through power lines and shit. There's really no explainable reason as to why anyone would be able to hit him with a blunt attack. All you can really say is the military hitting him with normal missiles and rockets. Either those rockets have hockey, or like some kind of hockey-like thing, or it's just fucking gameplay. Now I would totally believe that the other kaiju have fucking hockey and are capable, because they have all kinds of crazy fucking powers. The fucking gorilla kaiju, Kongar, who was just a gorilla that turned into a big thing, he gets sonic powers. I don't know why. It has nothing to do with being a gorilla, but yeah, he has this like roar thing, and when he yells, he makes this giant sonic roar that can take out fucking buildings. Praetor, the mantis kaiju, shoots this giant parasite that hooks onto people and starts like sucking out their life force and giving it back to Praetor. Like, that's got nothing to do with a praying mantis. There's a dragon in this game that is just a living skeleton of a dragon. I don't even know what made him. He's just here for some fucking reason. So trying to explain all this shit away by saying, well, in the game claim they can hurt you with guns and cannons and shit. So we're just going to pretend like cannons that the Helldivers fire are going to be able to harm living fucking magma and electricity. I think that's a bit of a stretch. Just because that shit happens in that game doesn't mean it's going to be happening in this one. So having said that, will Super Earth be able to survive the War of the Monsters? Yeah, even that Earth survived it, and they're nowhere near as advanced as Super Earth. The thing is about the War of the Monsters is that while they do destroy cities and buildings and attack the military and do all that kind of stuff, for the most part, they're just fighting each other for domination over the planet. So it's going to be a lot of chaos on Super Earth as these giant monsters are going to war with each other and not caring who they kill and what they destroy trying to do that. Despite that, all Super Earth really has to do is wait, and then eventually all the kaiju will be dead except for one, and then you just have to deal with that one kaiju. Honestly, I think what the bigger threat here would be is what the fuck are the Illuminates gonna do? Because the Illuminates have the ability to mind control people and take them, experiment on them, and turn them into voteless. Can you imagine if the Illuminates saw the fucking War of the Monsters shit happening on Super Earth and decided to just show up and be like, hey, I'll take those kaiju off your hands, and then they just turn all these motherfuckers into giant kaiju voteless? What if they take all of them and put them together and make a fucking flesh mob with all of the different monsters from War of the Monsters? Like literally a giant fucking 150 tall kaiju that has all the powers of all of the kaiju in the War of the Monsters game, just by him just there, and then you could just launch that bitch down to planets. Be like, go fuck up that whole planet. That would be fucking nuts. But yeah, at the end of the day, Super Earth could just use all of their military might on all the kaijus and kill basically all of them, but also destroy large portions of Super Earth to do it. Or they can just wait while trying to mitigate damage as much as possible, and then when there's just one left, basically do the same thing they did with Pilgar and just get them off the fucking planet. It'll definitely be harder because you're dealing with a fucking 35, 40 foot kaiju instead of just a goat with superpowers, but I don't think it would be completely impossible. With all their scientific knowledge coming together, trying to come up with some way to capture it, and then some way to maneuver that thing off the planet, they can do it. It would be challenging and a pain in the ass, and the planet would look like shit once it was done because they just had a fucking kaiju war across the surface of it, but it's doable. And honestly, I don't even think they would mind that this happened, because afterwards, they're definitely going to want to get their hands on that green goop and see what they can use that shit for. Shit can literally give sentience to the non-sentient, grow things beyond size, and all manner of other crazy shit. Can you imagine if they studied that shit and learned how to like actually control its usage? Possibly give little bits of it to their own soldiers or their weapons or technology, and like really improve the power of their military force. If they can utilize it properly, this whole war with the automatons, the Illuminates, and everybody is gonna be fucking over. It literally breaks physics and reality. It's fucking maddening to think of the crazy shit you can do with that. Last up, but certainly not least, we have Kazuya Mishima from the Tekken series. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I only chose this one because I have a really cool idea for a survival challenge that's like based around him later that I'm probably gonna do next. I'm actually super excited for it in a way that I haven't been for one of these challenges in at least a couple months. But since I'm not making that video yet and I'm making this one, I still kind of wanted to talk about him, so I just threw him on in here. And the interesting thing about this conversation isn't like who would win and how Super Earth would be able to deal with Kazuya. Short answer, they can't. There's literally nothing that they can do to him. They can't move him, they can't trap him, they can't harm him in any conceivable way. In the Tekken series, there are arguably multiple characters that are capable of blowing up planets. Azazel is confirmed to be able to blow up planets, and Kazuya casually beats him before absorbing all of his power. Bare minimum, Kazuya can blow up 2 planets. Like absolute bare minimum. Devil Jin, who is so weak at this point that even base Jin is capable of beating him in a hand-to-hand fight, was shown being able to destroy an entire continent casually. On top of that, Kazuya is a being who can fly and who's fast enough to enter space in like a split second. So even if Super Earth did somehow create a weapon that was capable of trapping him or harming him in some way, they wouldn't be able to fucking hit him. Even the absolute slowest characters in Tekken can very casually dodge high caliber fire from military grade weapons. The only real conversation to be had here is how Super Earth would react once Kazuya does the shit that they can't stop him from doing. So in the Tekken universe, Kazuya is a dictator. He believes that the strong should rule over the weak, and in the Tekken universe, I mean, that's what he does. Like, he wants world domination. He wants to take over everything. At one point in the series, sees G Corporation tries to attack him. So he flies over to G Corporation, kills all of its board members, and says, yeah, this whole corporation is mine now. Give it to me or I kill everything. And it's like, what do you even do at that point? As a society, we have built rules and things that you need to do in order to have other things happen, right? There's a way of going about things. If I wanted to own Amazon, I would have to discuss it with Jeff Bezos. I would have to try and buy the company from him. There's paperwork to do. There's legality. Kazuya doesn't care about all that. But what would happen if a god-level planet-destroying being showed up in front of Jeff Bezos, killed him, and told the whole world this company is mine now, and there's nothing you can do about it? What are you gonna do, call the police? What are you gonna do, call the military? No one can do anything. All of our rules of society go out the fucking window because God just demanded this thing be his. Like, you just give it to him. That's exactly what happened in Tekken 8. Kazuya just took over fucking G Corporation and built up a military force with that corporation that was more powerful than the entirety of the UN. The entire Tekken series is about 3 generations of assholes fighting each other to decide the future of the planet, and literally no one on that planet has any say in it whatsoever. It might be the only fighting game I've ever played that has individual characters on the roster that can take on all the other characters on the roster at the same time without any trouble whatsoever. You could take Kazuya, Heihachi, and Jin and have any one of them fight against the entire roster as long as they're not also fighting against one of those 3, and they will solo the entire universe that they are a part of. That's kind of weird for a fighting game. Usually you try and keep it a little more even than that. So really the interesting story that we have here is Kazuya taking over the planet by force, Super Earth not being able to do anything about it, and Kazuya basically trying to rewrite all of the rules and culture of the planet he just took over from a planet that serves managed democracy, and is trying to force it in a direction that follows his ideals, which is survival of the fittest and the strongest rule over the weak. And the question is, will he be able to do it? Yeah, probably. He's actually shown in the series to be really, really good at manipulating people into believing he's a hero even when he's not. And honestly, all he would really have to do is, after taking over Super Earth by killing all the heads and basically saying this planet's mine now, just go and end the war that they've been in. If he single-handedly gets onto one of their ships and then flies to a bunch of automaton, Terminate, and Illuminate worlds, and then just start fucking demolishing all of them, just destroy the planets, kill all life on the planets, completely wreck all 3 factions to the point that they just straight up can't fight against Super Earth anymore, that'll basically turn all of Super Earth on his side. Yeah, he overthrew the government and shit, but we were in the middle of a fucking galactic war, and he ended it in an afternoon. Given how fast Super Earth's ships are, I mean, they're basically just shy of teleportation. In a single day, he would be able to blow up thousands of fucking planets, killing literally hundreds of millions of people if he wanted to. Now, would he have to deal with rebel factions and revolutions and things like that? Sure, but none of them will actually be a threat to him. And as long as he keeps the quality of life to somewhat similar to what Super Earth had their quality of life being, while also showing that he is powerful enough to dominate all enemies that come around, I don't really see a reason why they wouldn't just let him fucking rule. He will also spread a culture around Super Earth of, like I said, strongest of the fittest, and the current culture of Super Earth, which is a revolving door of dead fucking soldiers who are just kind of thrown on the front lines, get blown up constantly, and turned out to some kind of abomination meat bucket, wouldn't happen anymore. He's far more interested in individual people rising up and grasping power for themselves. This is something that Super Earth as a government actively fights against, and it'll probably be really refreshing for citizens of Super Earth that they themselves have the ability to rise up and take the things that they want if they are strong enough to do so. Yeah, I actually think he'll do just fine. And even for the people who do rise up against him, his ability and willingness to just erase countries off the map, which is something he was doing in Tekken 8, is gonna be a pretty fucking solid deterrent for that very thing happening. So yeah, no, he's gonna fucking dominate. There's nothing they can do about it. And honestly, at the end of it all, they might actually prefer him in charge. But that's gonna be all from me. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, and join the membership. Remember, join the membership. You get exclusive access to unique videos that no one else could get. And always remember, y'all stay safe out there, you hear?